The Canadian government issued a response to the 10th report released by the Heritage Committee on M103, a controversial motion put forth by Liberal MP Iqra Khalid, which was widely criticized for its inclusion of the word Islamophobia. Motion M103 calls for the government to condemn Islamophobia and all forms of systemic racism and religious discrimination, and asks for the government to quell the increasing public climate of hate and fear. Now, most conservatives and nationalists throughout Canada were quick to interpret this as a form of creeping Sharia in the form of a disguised blasphemy law. After all, Islamic presence and influence in the West has grown tremendously over the years, and here we have a Muslim MP pushing a motion designed to condemn and quell criticism against Islamophobia. So what does M103 mean for Canadians? Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the actions the government is going to be taking in response to the report released by the Heritage Committee. The government's going to be putting $23 million towards multiculturalism programs, $19 million for at-risk black youth over a 2-year period, $5 million towards Status of Women Canada to analyze challenges faced by women of color and new female immigrants, $5 million for court challenges programs that will allow racialized Canadians to take governments to court, $447 million over 5 years to Indigenous Skills and Employment Training Strategy Program, and an additional $100 million going forward, $20 million to address the needs of black Canadians. Yes, $20 million to address the needs of black Canadians. $2.4 million over a 2-year span for law enforcement sensitivity training. $12.1 million to combat racialization of poverty. They're also going to be providing funds for, check this, an urban alliance on race relations project entitled Building Bridges Between Muslims and Allies to create conversations about Muslims and Islamophobia and ways to reduce discrimination and racism towards blacks. Yeah, this is a weird one, guys. Building bridges between Muslims and allies? That sounds almost militant. The Canadian government also promises to work more closely with social media platforms like Facebook to promote media literacy and to spread awareness on fake news. Yeah, that's real rich. The Trudeau Liberals being concerned about the spreading of fake news. They are the beneficiaries of fake news here in Canada. You know, the fake news that is pumped out of the propaganda machines like CBC and Global News. Clearly, this motion is designed to funnel money towards minority interest. However, there is nothing that indicates any serious push to prohibit criticism of Islam in any way. In fact, there is very little mentioning of Islam or Islamophobia in the report or the government response. I've read through the entire report, and there's nothing in there that actually indicates that criticism towards Islam is going to be prohibited in any way. Now, in fact, this motion is actually serving as a cash grab for all minority groups and is influencing the government to put more effort into promoting multiculturalism, interfaith communities, as well as gathering data for hate crime statistics. This is a motion which perpetuates the notion that white people are privileged, that systemic racism is running rampant through society, running rampant through government, and I'm just tired of it. Basically, M103 was designed with the intentions of persuading government to dump more taxpayer dollars into programs that advocate and assist everyone but white people. In essence, the government essentially interprets M103 as an anti-white privilege motion, and they're going to be taking measures to address systemic racism in virtually every single way imaginable. As a result of this motion, the Canadian government is prepared to spend hundreds of millions of dollars towards the needs of minorities, and not a single penny, not a single taxpayer dollar is going towards whites or Christians, especially not white Christian males. We all know how intersectionality works, and that essentially pits white males at the bottom. So is motion M103 a form of Islamic blasphemy law? No, not exactly, but in ways it's far worse. Motion M103 has persuaded our government to dump enormous amounts of money into programs that will essentially help everybody but white people. This is nothing new. This is like a Multiculturalism Act 2.0. And perhaps we were so vigilant against the prospects of creeping Sharia here in Canada that we didn't see the forest for the trees.